what happened it happened around the Bad English days. Most of the 5 strings, and that was when I really made up my mind, and I saw how good it worked and fit in with the band. It was an obvious fit. I realized that all the 5 strings looked like a piece of furniture, and it was for not rockers, it was for, you know, all kinds of other genres of music. And there was all these fancy burl woods, but they looked like, you know, it looked like you're playing a coffee table or something. So I wanted something that looked like a rock and roll looking bass, something with teeth, you know. And so I took the checkerboard binding that a 73 Rickenbacker has, and I took, although I did, in my design, we ended up getting, it's a little bit different binding. It's not exactly the same tooth binding that's on a Rickenbacker. Mine is a little bit different. But the idea of that I took from the Rickenbacker. Then I've always loved the 50 style with the Tele headstock P basses, and like I said, the 68 Tele basses were my favorite. I thinned that down a bit. I put an F-hole because I always thought F-holes look cool, but I only put a chamber underneath the F-hole. It doesn't go throughout the body. It's just in one spot and gives it a little bit of unique tone. Ebony fretboard. All the electronics are EMG, and it's a neck through. It's not a bolt on. And all just the things I thought. The Spectre's basses to me sounded so good when I was playing them that I thought the neck through was giving me that. When you record with an old Spectre bass and you're in a band with guitar players that are playing with this big, huge, crunchy sound, you are still heard, and that was a seller. That was a seller to me, and I was convinced that was the neck through. And so far, the bass that I designed and was built for me by the custom shop a little over 20 years ago is a one of a kind bass, and it has that quality as well. I never got lost in the mix. It's easy for them to get me up in the mix. I don't know if I'm hallucinating, and that has nothing to do with it or not, but for some reason there is this richness that's inherent in the tone that lets it lift its way right through the mix without losing the cut from, if you want a little bit of mid, you can't get too crazy with it, but you want a little bit of cut there in the mid, you can get away with it more than just about any other bass I've played. I always used to get so frustrated because you get these guitar players with this killer tone, I mean just awesome Marshall tone, and then you've got to just lose all your tone, or else they just, you know, and just go low end. And I hate that. I want some edge. I want some teeth on mine too, you know. So the Spectre basses were the first ones that I played that just, wow, you know. Thank you, Lord, you know. And this bass is going to be available when we're done with this tour. I'm giving it to Fender. They're going to, when Fender moved, I don't know how many years, like 18 years ago or so, when they moved, can't remember if they moved from Corona, but some things got misplaced and lost forever. And one of them was the template to my bass. So we're going to reshoot everything. We're going to measure and get inside and scope and this, and it's going to be available as a custom order through the custom shop, which is going to be cool. The Ricky Phillips bass. Woohoo! I heard Lemmy say something when asked that question. He said, "I won't tell you anything. You got to learn to make the same mistakes, mate, that I made. It's good for you. Mistakes are good." And I thought, wow, that in itself is great advice. And I would hold to that as well. I don't know if I could even offer good advice, because the commitment takes you places that you don't realize. I mean, I grew up excuse me, I grew up in a little tiny town in Northern California. The fact that I'm sitting here and anybody wants to hear what I have to say blows my mind. You know? It's like, I never thought that I would have the success I've had in this crazy, crazy business. But I was kind of like, I never gave up, you know? I was too dumb to know any better. I just kept trying and kept trying. Like I said, I slept on couches. I slept on floors. We'd be in bands where we'd go, "Yes, could we have a room for 2, please?" when there's 9 guys sneaking in and sleeping on floors and on top of whatever. You just do what you got to do because you love it and because it's in your your gut. It's in your soul. If you don't, if it's not, you'll find out real quick, because you'll want to go get a job and make some money someplace and you'll see guys fall off. They might have even had talent, but they just don't have the long haul, and that's cool. That's okay. It's good to find out sooner than later, because there's no guarantees you're going to make it anyway. And I think you just got to love what you do, and you got to be willing to know that it's not going to be easy. Very, very rarely does anybody find that easy road. You hear about it happening, and every once in a while somebody at very young age gets huge success, but it's not generally that way. I mean, even with actors, and with I think Dustin Hoffman, when he got to Graduate, this is one of the things that I heard. Dustin Hoffman was 30 years old when he got to Graduate. Even though he was playing a 21-year-old college kid, he was 30 years old. That was the first role he finally got a role, you know. So it's going to take however much time it takes. How long is it going to take? I don't know. However long it takes, and that's the answer. And it's really up to how much you can take of getting sand kicked in your face and still going, hey, but I'm still rocking. I'm still in showbiz, you know. And whatever you're getting out of it is your reward. You create your own reward. And you know, I should say I've had huge valleys where I wasn't working. There's been times where, you know, here's Ricky Phillips, big rock star, and then, man, the phone doesn't ring, or I wasn't able to generate or put together a project that got picked up or signed. So, and you got to find some way to be able to, you know, put food in your mouth. And so I've taken on projects, and I've done some road work with bands that I wasn't so thrilled with doing. Or I remember I took on a project. I wrote the music and recorded the music for a children's show. Turned out to be one of my favorite things I've ever done. It was a blast, but I didn't know that. I took the gig because it was going to pay me money, and but you know, it was still in music. It was still music related. But I've you know, there have been times when if he would have said, okay, the elephants are over there, just make sure that pen's clean when I get back, you know, I would have taken the gig. So you got to do what you got to do. Hi, this is Ricky Phillips of Styx. Thank you so much for visiting BassFrontiersMag.com.